So we're starting this podcast. We're sitting in Regents Park. It's a pretty decent day.
So hey everyone, or hey, or like hello.
Hi, I'm Serena.
And I'm Rick.
And I'm Troy. And we're your hosts for this podcast. This is a project that we're starting just to discuss some issues that we've been exploring on our own, like academically or like off on the side. Just some of the things that we're passionate about. I see it as an exploration of culture, fashion, music, what's going on around us, that exploring it from like a new angle, kind of taking it apart a bit. So, Serena, tell me what you're hoping to get out of this podcast. Why do you want to participate in this podcast?
Well, I mean, ever since meeting you at Central St. Martin's, I think we have a similar mindset. So I was just interested in kind of what the podcast is about, maybe publishing our work. And we used to talk for hours,
right?
And with Rick as well, we used to talk for hours about theory and, the way the world, culture. Yeah, so I'm just interested in kind of getting better at communication, right, and learning more about how we can delve behind the scenes of fashion and culture.
We're definitely on the same page in terms of that.
Yeah.
And Rick, tell me.
Well, I mainly like the long conversations that we have.
Yeah.
And every time we have them and hours pass, I just think it'd be interesting to record them and to have them somewhere. So I like that idea. I like the idea of recording something and then a few years later looking back and see where your mind was at. And I might not be as academically versed as Troy and Serena.
You have a different background, a different orientation.
No, I know, but it's intimidating.
How many degrees do you have? You have like 4 degrees?
Exactly.
No, but
you've got more than us, so...
Yeah, but you might have whatever you have and you still feel a certain way, so...
Yeah, that's true.
That is the like trepidation a little bit, but also just because I might not be able to speak in the same level as Serena or Troy does, but I'll be here and I'll try, and I'm interested in anything, and it can be in all the topics that we go to, from pop culture to I'll try some of the deeper, more academic things, but I think all of it I can have a little bit of info or my viewpoints go in.
I definitely think that we three have like unique voices that will contribute to the mix. And
definitely
own where you're coming from, because it's unique. I mean, it's yours, especially in terms of the three of us.
Don't put yourself down, Rick, because your viewpoints is just as valid as all of ours.
That's fine. That's just like one of the scary parts of doing this and seeing how you two talk to each other and how I don't know. So, and it's a little intimidating, but that's it. I'm not like not gonna do this, so I'm still here, and
okay. And I guess the reasons I want to do the podcast is that I like our conversations that the three of us have. It just flow, and we can talk for hours.
We do talk for hours.
We do talk for hours.
Yeah.
And like sometimes when it's just me or just the two of us or whatever, it's like it'd be nice to know other people who could join in on the conversation, and I don't necessarily know who those people are. So in a way, this is like an invitation a way to participate that kind of like escapes the immediate geography. Like we get beyond this immediate space, and then we're kind of presenting subjects that are hopefully interesting that other people would want to talk about. And who knows, maybe someday we'll meet some of them or like get some interesting relationships out of it.
Because I really like that feeling when you get to talking to somebody and you can just go on and on, topic to topic. I think we had that with one of our guests, and we never talked to any of our guests, but one of our guests, like the time was just going, and it can go from this to this to this, and it's so interesting, and I don't think that I get enough of that. I get that when we talk to Serena, but we don't even do that often. So this will keep us on our toes, I think.
And by guest, you mean Airbnb?
Yes.
Because we do an Airbnb. So yeah, there have been a couple. Like, you're really good about engaging with them more than I am. Because I'm always studying. I'm always like writing or something like that. That leads us kind of into our next subject. So what do you do? Like, in terms of your career, and like where you're at right now, where would you like to be? How would you describe yourself?
At the moment, I would say I'm an editorial assistant, and it's freelance work. So I help out at Black History magazine, and it's really good because it kind of feeds into kind of what I do on Instagram, which is really important to me. You know, the Georgian diaspora Instagram post that's kind of growing and
So
growing.
wait, say the name again.
Georgian diaspora.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, so that's about multicultural people in history and how they're visually seen. So I really enjoyed that, and I've kind of met loads of people through being at CSM, and then through kind of Black history and just the people I meet. And the more and more I talk to people, they want me to do this, want me to do that. So I've ended up, becoming an editorial assistant. I mean, I still want to carry on and go into kind of fashion.
Right.
Like purist fashion, but with culture behind it. So
Okay.
So it's almost like that job, like you said, Rick, that job that you want isn't actually out there. Don't you see that as well? It's like,
Yeah, you're not seeing when you go through the job boards. I never see the
job
job that I want,
Yeah.
because it doesn't seem like the job that I want is
out there.
listed. It's there, but they don't list it in the regular way
So-
that an accountant might list an accountant job.
So what is your could try and describe that, and I'll do the same.
Well, yeah.
You describe what the perfect if you said that's the job I want. How would it?
Well, I
where
mean,
are you at right now? And
yeah.
what is the-
So I mean, first of all, so we moved to London, and that was about 6 years ago, and so we've been at school on and off. So I did one MA, one MBA, and another MA that I just finished last year. So after that, MA at Central St. Martin's, which was Applied Imagination in the Creative Industries. Really cool title, but yeah, it was interesting, and it was the first time that I did something really different, and I was actually like immersed in the school part of things. So right now I'm kind of up in the air as far as what to do next. I'm still working on Image Amplified, the website, and all the social media stuff, and I'm
'Cause
taking
it takes
my
up a lot of time.
yeah, it takes a lot of time, and I'm taking my time, and Airbnb is allowing us to do that, since we can do that part-time. It's flexible, so I haven't had to look for or need to look for a job so quickly, so I can take my time. And I mean, finding that job or that perfect job, part of it is like, well, I don't want to work for anybody. I just want to work for us, and I want to build what we like to do.
Agree.
And I mean, because I did 7 years of working for somebody, and it wasn't that bad, but
There were some perks.
yeah, there were
But there
some
were
perks.
real downsides too.
Yeah, and really just when you're miserable and you really dread every day, and dread going in to do your job, and I don't miss that. I don't want to go back to it. I don't want to have to go back to it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that perfect job would be just working for ourselves, and being a kind of an editor who creates editorials, art, curating.
Being responsible for content.
Yeah, being responsible, and like having that make money, and even working with teams, and giving those teams opportunities to get paid, because
Yeah.
people don't appreciate all the work that somebody might put into. I mean, models, stylists, hair, makeup, all of it. Like all of those people don't get paid the way they should.
Yeah.
So if we could have something that could allow for us to give that to other
I think
people.
in terms of like sustainability, it's like you just
Yeah.
don't want to take and
True,
take and
it's
take and
true.
just put out there and treat it like garbage. It's like, no, create a sustainable system. It may not be luxe at first. It may not be like high stakes and super profitable, but at least it's fair to the people who are participating. And
Yeah, and I mean, so that would be a kind of a perfect job, which it's also when you're looking at the boards, it's like when I go look for something to wear or a new backpack, or I don't know what it is until I see it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So that's really difficult because
or it may not be there until you make it.
Yeah.
This is it, and this is what I'm thinking. It's like
Yeah.
maybe the perfect job is literally, like you say, like almost I would love to just kind of work for myself, to be honest. Or the perfect job would have to say, you know, we want a fashion culturalist interested in multiculture, you know, that produces, that curates.
Yeah, like curator or like
yeah, creative
director of some
director,
type,
creative
or consultant,
director.
or like,
You know, with no experience.
yeah, no, but that's like the drunk walk, because you have so
What's
many.
that?
Well, it's
Drunk
it's
walk?
yeah, it's like the drunk walk where you have a job that, you know, is in one field, and then you go to another field,
Yeah.
and then so you go to a few different fields, and then at the end of it, you are all the titles that you said, and you're
Oh,
a whole
gosh,
new
yes,
animal.
Yes. No, I like
And you're
that.
so unique at that end that nobody can be what you are because nobody did that drunk walk.
Yeah, that is so true. That is so true. And it's like trying to get that confidence, because you think, okay, they want you to be a journalist and they want you to be... Because I've done internships. I've done internships at newspapers and magazines. And
yeah.
and you do have to fit in to a certain mold. And then you think, I've got all this creative energy though.
Yeah.
My
yeah.
own kind of ideas. When do you stop going for that and kind of just walking your own path? But then it's just sustainability.
That's true.
How do you feed yourself every day? I mean,
Yeah, because
Do you know what I
you'll
mean?
get your spirit crushed
this is
if you
it.
do the other work and you never feed.
That's what I mean. I left. I was working. I got a job and I was working as a community support officer, like housing, you know. And honestly, my soul was dying. Okay.
Wait, when was this?
This was like in 2013.
Oh, okay.
2013, and I was like, okay, I'll just get a job. That's what my parents want, and the family's like, yes, you know, I'm doing something. And anyway, I was there, and honestly, it was like I was just dying, and I thought, you know what, I am going to go to fashion school again, and I'm just going to get my degree. And I did, and I just left that job, and it was the best decision I'd ever made. And I went on to do my BA, and then I went on to do my MA at Central St. Martin's. So I'm so glad, because if I was a community support officer, I mean,
Don't you just sometimes have those jobs that you have to, like that one job I got as a hotel, I think in a reception.
Really?
I was there one day, and
Oh my
on my lunch break, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna come back.
yeah,
I don't think this is for me. And so I talked to Troy, and
Yeah.
then I called the hotel, and I
Yeah.
told them, this is not for me.
this is it. It's like you just know.
You have to know.
Yeah, I
It just
can't.
doesn't fit.
That's
it
what
just
I'm
doesn't
saying.
fit.
It was clear. It was just a clear and present danger. I cannot carry on working here. I was going to people's homes and filling out, assessments. Oh my God. It was just for me. I mean, I'm not putting anyone down that does it
No.
at
Yeah,
all.
no.
It's just I had all that because I went to fashion school when I was like 19 and it didn't work out. That's a whole other story.
Because it wasn't the right time.
Yeah, it just wasn't the right time. And then coming back to it a few years later, it's like, yeah, I'm so glad that I just didn't like get into that whole 9 to 5 and da 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 da.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what about you?
Yeah.
Well,
Well, have you always been clear on what you want to do?
no, I mean, I've been on this academic track for like 6 years, almost straight through, and I don't know. I like media a lot. I like imagery a lot. I like sound. So I knew that I wanted to understand how it works. And so I started with like marketing communications and how ideas are sold, because everyone thinks they know what marketing is. So I wanted to really know what marketing was. I wanted to learn the theory. I wanted to learn best practice. I wanted to like explore it from the inside out. Because everybody's always talking about being a marketing genius. So I wanted to know, well, what is a marketing genius, like literally? So I went and I studied advertising, but the flip side of that is like going back to the creativity and the media side and the artistic side. So it wasn't just about business, it was also like how business and something like fashion and fashion communication, how they can merge and how they can like impact and pick each other apart and how they can influence each other. And so I guess that's somewhat the heart of why I'm working my PhD right now.
Yeah.
Because again, it's about media. It's about what people are doing with fashion media. It's like the social qualities of it, and it's looking at marketing. So it's that whole big system that people see in an Instagram post and then they just pass through it. It's like what you were saying about all the work that goes into creating the Instagram post. My initial curiosities are almost exactly the same. They're just a lot richer than I would have ever expected them to be. If that makes sense?
Yeah. Yeah. What are you gonna do after this? I mean, it's 3 years, is it?
It's
3 years?
So you're
3 to
in a
4 years.
PhD right now.
Yeah,
That's
so
where you're
right
at.
now, like, I need a project like this podcast so that way it gets my head out of the books. And when I'm digesting, it's like it becomes social and much more interesting. I can see myself speaking
Oh yeah.
and writing books and continuing to work with media.
Yeah.
And whether it's through, I don't know, and again, it's like, I don't think it's there until we make it. Like, I don't want to fit into somebody else's formula. But yeah, it's more like to have my ideas, but then it's about communicating them in multiple formats.
Yes, yeah.
And taking inspiration and breaking it down. And then, you know, if a brand is interested in it, if a like magazine is interested in it, if whoever's interested in it, just that's what I do. That's what I do. I just translate. Like,
Yeah, I could see you talk. I could definitely see you talking and
yeah.
kind of, yeah, definitely, and writing books. I think that's really interesting.
I mean, I would love also to work for like a small, nimble marketing company.
Yeah.
Who does interesting work. It doesn't have to be like the biggest, but innovative and pushing boundaries that might get noticed like later on.
So, okay. So, for an example, like for me, what would your role be in this small business, this nimble business you have? What?
For that particular context, it would be
Yeah.
like a strategist, a media strategist.
Okay, a consultant.
What's the message? Who's it intended for? And how are they going to understand it?
Yeah.
And putting it over in words and ideas and images that they'll get. And so that way there's
Like, what's their brand value, their brand voice,
Yeah.
who they are, what's their DNA?
yeah. Yeah. And you know, who's it relevant to? So that kind of, I like strategy in terms of that. I like
that as
understanding
well.
systems.
I think we keep doing this,
Yeah.
and it's a way to kind of focus our ideas
Exactly.
and our commonalities. Yeah.
Or do you want to talk about the Manolo Blahnik?
We're going to talk about the Manolo Blahnik
Yeah, we can just go into that.
exhibition at the Wallace Museum. The
Yeah.
Wallace collection.
The Wallace collection.
Yeah. I couldn't
So-
find it at first.
So that's my favorite, one of my favorite museums here in London.
Yeah.
If not maybe my most favorite. The first time I went to it was in 2006 when I took a 6-week course, a study abroad course. It was like architecture, art and photography in London.
Oh, wow.
And the tutor was like this really, really old, like I think 85-year-old man.
Oh, wow.
And so he took us to all these places, and that was one of the museums he took us to, and it
Yeah.
was just like that. It made an impression then, but I never knew how to find it again. I just knew, oh, they had armor, knight armor. So a few years ago, I found it again, and I like the rooms and the decor and everything that they have, the paintings and everything it's kind of like belonging in Versailles or just like the Napoleon rooms and the Louvre. It's maybe not as grand as those rooms, but it is like a scaled down version, and it's hidden, so you have to know where it is.
Yeah.
It's very hidden, but it's very central behind Selfridges essentially. So whenever we heard that they were having Manolo Blahnik exhibit there, that was a good thing to go to, and I liked it. I liked it, the shoes being next to the artwork that may have inspired the shoe. So
that for me made all the difference.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I appreciated an exhibit like the Alexander McQueen, where it was just his, like the V&A, but my expectations for a Manolo Blahnik exhibit were not like high.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
because I don't know that much about it. Like I know like Louboutin, for example, a little more because
Yeah.
someone like David Lynch will take a Louboutin and do like an installation around it, and that's how I learned more about it. But seeing the Manolo Blahnik shoes in that kind of context, where you can see the echoing of the detail and like in the paintings and everything, it just made all the difference.
yeah, it was like some of them came out of the paintings.
Yeah.
Or the women in the paintings were wearing the shoes. And yeah, I mean, the only thing I really knew about Manolo Blahnik, I mean, I do know some, but Sex and the City and
that's really
Sir
where
Jessica Parker's obsession
with the shoes.
the shoes.
The buckle and I
Yeah, so
remember
that was like, oh, that's a name, and that should be interesting. But I was mainly excited about the museum. But yeah, I liked it. What about?
I like the
what did you
museum.
think?
I thought I'd actually been there before, and I got lost trying to find it around the back of Bond Street. But I found it eventually, and it looks quite compact. But when you go in, it's huge, and it's all kind of ornate and
Very ornate.
beautiful wall coverings, silk wall coverings. You've got like the blue room, the red room, the green. I mean,
The smoking room.
yeah, the smoking room, the chandeliers are amazing. And at first, I have to admit, almost the rooms were so ornate that the shoes kind of were lost. But when you kind of get into the detail and you look at the shoes and you look at the paintings, and then you kind of pick out the detail.
Yeah, because some of the shoes I didn't even notice that some of them were by the fireplace.
Yeah, and I missed them and I had to go and have a look and see what the connections were, because the rooms are so kind of rococo,
Opulent.
so over the top. My goodness.
There was a lot to see. There was so much to see.
Can you
but-
imagine living in that time
Oh
with the
my
big
God.
dresses and the wigs and the hair
Marie
and
Antoinette.
yeah.
Except not getting your head chopped
Yeah,
off.
not getting your head, no, not at that time. When you're on a when you're on a swing and a guy
Yes.
looking at your skirt, I'm more interested in that.
Yeah, so I think the shoes like helped me appreciate the space even more in a new way. It was
Yeah.
almost like inverted. It was not like it wasn't like a one white wall room after another with like stuff in it. It was more like this is what's here, and what's in here inspired the shoes.
Yes.
And so it made you look back at the room and like the artwork.
Yeah,
and,
made
like,
it did. It gave it more of a story, and that's why I think fashion is an important cultural object where you can see fashion, because it tells a story. You can pick stories out of clothing,
right.
you know, and they are like have layers to them. And I think it's important, and why fashion is going into the museums more and more and more. You know, that's what we were learning on our course.
Right. Like everything that's built into fashion, like designed into it. But then also what happens to it as it's used, and it becomes like lived in, and it takes on like this whole other like,
Exactly, material culture. It speaks, and it has meaning, and it was worn.
All right, so this was a good conversation about the Manolo Blahnik exhibit, but you know us, we could go on and on about it, talk about it for hours. So let's stop it here and wrap this one up.
Yeah, and within the description, we'll add some links to the museum if you want to go check it out. Even if the Manolo Blahnik exhibit isn't there, it's still worth it. Like I said, it's one of my favorites. So, and any other links that we have, like for the Diaspora Instagram, and anything else, like in future podcasts, we'll try to make the description and include some links, and that way you can look into what we've been talking about further if you want.
Okay, and also tune in next week because I think, what do you think? We'll talk about the Madonna album?
Yeah, Madam X.
Oh yeah, we should
Yeah.
talk about the Madam X, and then yeah, that's good. So we'll talk about that next week.
Yeah, that's a loaded discussion, so it might be a bit
Definitely.
longer, the podcast, but it's worth it, and it's definitely worth it to. She's worth it, and it'll be a good conversation overall.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for listening this time.
Thank you.
And
All right.
hope you found it enjoyable and interesting. We'll see you next time.
All right, bye.
Bye.